Hey friends, you want to see what else you can do with a roll of toilet paper besides TP in your neighbor's house? Stick around and I'll show you. Hello friends, I have a piece of fabric 25.5 inches by 17 inches, a roll of toilet paper, some polyfill, and a finial. Now I've set the toilet paper in the center of my fabric, and now I'm putting some polyfill around it. You do not have to use a polyfill to make this pumpkin. You can do it without, because I have, but I did it for this one just to give it some fullness. Now I've grabbed the corner, and then the opposite corner, and I'm just shoving it down in the hole of my toilet paper, bringing each corner up and pushing it down in there. And as I'm doing that, I'm, adjusting so my raw edges aren't showing. Now mine was piece of fabric was a little too big, so I did wind up trimming it down just so there wasn't all that added bulk down in the hole of the toilet paper. Just making sure all the raw edges are covered up, bringing it up. And you want it fairly tight, so you may have to take your hot glue and glue some spots just to make sure that it stays. So I've taken my finial. Now you could use a spindle, twigs from your yard, cinnamon sticks, whatever you'd like for a stem. Put some hot glue on it, shoved it down in the hole. So I just happen to have these finials in my craft stash, so that I thought it would make a cute stem. But you use whatever you have. So now I have some more of that same fabric and some cheesecloth that I've coffee grunged. And I did coffee grunge the fabric that's on the pumpkin, around the pumpkin. And I'm going to make a bow. You can also add some Spanish moss around the top of your pumpkin before you add a bow or anything, or some sisal, whatever you would like. I didn't on the video add some sisal, but at the very end I did decide to add a little bit around the top of the pumpkin. So I'm tying my bow up. I'm going to tie it up and fluff it out. Make sure it's good and tight. And you could leave those strings long and just tie your bow on around the spindle or whatever you're using, and that way you could take it off and put a new one on. I chose to cut them off and hot glue mine on. Then I have these little curlies that I get from Hobby Lobby in the bridal section, and I'm going to hot glue that and stick it down in there. I think they make really cute trendles for your pumpkins. And now I'm going to add my bow with some hot glue. See, so far isn't it looking cute? So I'm trimming off some of those long sections of my bow. I got them a little too long for the pumpkin. Kind of fluffing it out. Now, I just have some random leaves and florals in my craft stash that were loose, and I'm going to add those to the pumpkin. But flowers or anything else you have, and these little berries I added to whatever you have in your craft stash to put on your pumpkin. And this is all I added to mine, the leaves and the spindles, or little berries. You could add a lot more than that, just make it as fancy as you'd like. I just did mine kind of just real simple. Now I've grabbed a tag, and I'm going to take my scissors and kind of rough the edges of the tag up and give it more of a tattered look. And I'm going to spell out the word fall. You could decorate your pumpkin any way you'd like. Make them as cute as you like. Different fabrics and plaids and just whatever you like. And I'm scrunching it all up. Now I've got my Tim Holtz Distress Oxide, and I'm just going around the edges, giving it a little more distressing. I'm going to grab a piece of twine and put it through the hole and glue that to the center of my bow. And I also had these acorns that I got at Dollar Tree a year or so ago. I have not seen them this year at my Dollar Tree, but they might have them at yours. These little acorns. And I'm just going to grab one of those, and I'm going to hot glue that to the center of my bow. And that's it. And like I said, in the picture you're going to see, I added some sisal. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching.